Well, it looks like a massive week in GTA Online with tons of discounts, so let's take a look at what's actually worth grabbing from the updates released Thursday, 1st of December 2022. Hi and welcome back, my name's Dan and I'm an old grumpy gamer. Well, it seems like a massive week in GTA Online with some vehicle, property and even weapon discounts. But before we dive in, if you find this helpful, we do lots of Grand Theft Auto Online guides, tips and tricks. So if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for more content like this. Starting with the property discount for this week, the Weed Farm, which is 50% off purchases and upgrades. Prior to the so-called expanded and enhanced update, this was utter shite, but with the updates it's kind of come into its own. Like, don't get me wrong, there are better businesses out there, but it's not bad. Look, if you have a nightclub, it's a no-brainer as it unlocks the organic produce section of the nightclub warehouse. Otherwise, it's going to be your call. It's not super profitable, but like other MC Club businesses, it's pretty easy to run. Before you dive in, it's worth noting you'll also need to purchase all the upgrades if you want to make a profit, and you'll also need an MC Clubhouse if you don't have one already. Onto the vehicles, starting with the Gauntlet Classic, which is typically purchased for around about 615,000, but is on sale this week at 30% off, bringing it down to 430,500. The Gauntlet Classic is a two-seater muscle rear-wheel drive 5-speed that tops out at around 109 miles per hour or about 175 k's. The thing's pretty quick for what it is, but it's got sluggish acceleration which lets it down a bit. Plus, the handling on the Gauntlet is actually quite reasonable, but it's still pretty lively even though it doesn't accelerate too hard. I mean, it is what it is. At 430,500, it's a reasonable deal. There are likely better options, but if you have a burning need, go for it. Flipping over to the Yosemite, which is typically purchased for 485 grand, but is on sale at 30% off this week, bringing it down to 339.5. The Yosemite's a two-seater. It's a muscle rear-wheel drive 4-speed that tops out at 117 miles per hour or about 187 k's. This thing's pretty quick for what it is, and it gets up to speed reasonably quickly, but the handling on the Yosemite it's not bad, it's quite reasonable, it's still pretty lively even so. I mean, again, it is what it is. At 339.5, it's a reasonable deal. There are likely better options, but yeah, if you have a burning need. Let's take a look at the Nero, which typically is purchased for 1,440 grand, but is on sale this week at 30% off, bringing it down to a touch over 1 million. It's a two-seater super all-wheel drive 6-speed, and it tops out about 126 miles an hour or a touch over 200 k's. This thing is fast and it pulls reasonably hard too. Plus, the handling on the Nero is quite reasonable. It is quite lively again. I mean, it is what it is. At $1 million, it's a reasonable deal. Again, there are likely better options, but if you have a burning need, go for it. Jumping over to the Shinobi, which is typically purchased for a shade under 2.5 million, but is on sale this week, bringing it down to about 1.7. The Shinobi is a single-seater motorcycle, 6-speed, and it runs up to about 125 miles per hour or about 200 k's. And again, this thing is fast and it pulls quick. The handling on the Shinobi does let it down a fair bit, making it a bit of a challenge to drive on regular roads around the map though. At $1,736,350, it's a pretty good deal. I mean, I probably wouldn't buy this one special, but if you need a vehicle in this class, you can certainly do worse. Sticking with the motorbikes, we have the Reever, which is typically around 1,900,000, but it's 30% off for 1.3. The Reever is again a single-seater motorcycle, 5-speed, and tops out at 163 miles or 260 k's. This thing is fast and it pulls hard. The handling on the Reever does let it down a bit, making it a bit of a challenge on the regular roads though. At 1,300,000, it's a good deal for what it is, but again, I wouldn't buy this one special unless you really want a blisteringly fast bike. Looking at the Jubilee, which is about 1,650,000, but is on sale at about 50% off, bringing it down to roughly 865,000. The Jubilee is a 4-seater SUV, 8-speed, that tops out at 116 miles per per hour or 186 k's. And it's pretty quick. It gets up to speed reasonably quickly too. The handling on the Jubilee does let it down. It can be a bit bumpy on regular roads around the map though, but at $866,250, it's a reasonable deal. Moving on to the Zeno, which is $2,800,000 normally, but is on sale for $1,975,000. It's a two-seater super rear-wheel drive 7-speed that clocks out at 127 miles per hour or a touch over 200 k's. This thing is fast and it accelerates really hard. Further, the handling on the Zeno is pretty damn good, making this an absolutely dream drive. For a super, $1,974,000 is a pretty good deal. I probably wouldn't buy this one special, but if you need a vehicle in this class, yeah, you could do a lot worse. The Patriot Mil-Spec is next, which is typically purchased for $1,710,000, but is on sale for $897,750. It's a four-wheel drive off-roader, 4-speed, and tops out at 96 miles an hour, or about 150 k's. It's a bit sluggish and doesn't pull particularly hard, and the handling does let it down a fair bit. It does make it a pretty interesting drive. It's not a bad vehicle per se, it's just not a great vehicle. So grab it if you're super keen, but otherwise give it a miss. And finally, flipping over to the Youga Classic, which is typically purchased for $195,000, but is on sale this week for $136,500. It's again 4-seater van, rear-wheel drive, 5-speed, only goes about 91 mile an hour, about 145 k's. This thing is a bit sluggish, and the dismal acceleration doesn't help its case either. The handling on the Youga Classic lets it down a fair bit too, making it a pretty boring drive. Again, it's not a bad vehicle, it's just not a great vehicle. So grab it if you can, but otherwise give it a miss. There are some weapons discounts too, but if I'm honest, they're all a bit ordinary and the weapons aren't super flash, so I'm not even going to worry about it this round. And that's it for this week's major discounts. Don't forget to sub if you're new to the channel. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, wash your hands, and we'll see you in the next video.